Hey, it's Mazzy, and I have the Italian Joey Callio here, musician. But we're here to talk about the 10 records owned by the Pope. We have a new Pope, an American Pope. We have Pope Leo the 14th.
Cheers.
To Leo.
Cheers to Leo.
Born in Chicago. This is Robert Francis Prevost. Have you ever heard of him?
No, but I know the last name. That's the name of the best bus company in the rock and roll world. We pronounce it Prevo, but
So maybe it is Prevo. We don't know. So
don't know.
the T is silent, the ST is silent?
I don't know. It's Prevo.
But we don't know. So we have a Pope. Now, a couple things. We're going to show the 10 records. Now, a little warning or a little upfront business here. This is all made up by me. This isn't real. But we find out, okay, the Pope is 69 years old. The Pope is exactly a year younger than me. So finally,
You could be the Pope.
You
could be the Pope.
I think
Come on.
I think that Jesus
You could be the Pope.
The Jesus thing is a deal breaker. Now I am wearing this. Some people are offended when I wear this shirt, but this is Banksy. Okay, I went to a Banksy show in London last August, but this is not an anti-Jesus shirt. This is talking about consumerism, how Christmas and is taken over. The consumerism has taken over Christmas,
Yes.
and the Catholic religion part of it has been pushed aside. So Jesus holding these gift bags, Mickey Mouse gift bags, and things, and dripping black blood. So I mean, it's not against Jesus. So if anything,
Actually, that is highly religious. It's pro-religious.
exactly, and that's the thing. I don't want to get into religion and politics here yet. I'm going to show 10 records that the Pope, the new Pope, the American Pope, probably the woke Pope. Did you hear about that?
No.
Apparently, these there's a lot of commentary. People on certain channels are calling this the woke Pope. Their heads exploded because when he gave his speech, he spoke in Latin, Italian, and Spanish, and he didn't speak in English, so heads are exploding. He's an American. Why didn't he talk in English? So, anyway.
How does that make him woke? I don't get it.
Hey,
Never mind. That's fine.
woke's not even a thing. But move over for a second. Look, this guy apparently in 1966 was more popular than Jesus. So we're kind of going all around here. Anyway, he's 69 years old, born in Chicago. He's a month after me, and he's a Virgo. I'm a Virgo. He's born in September of.
Yet his name is Leo. Now I am disappointed. By
Leo,
that.
and Leo is a Virgo, and he was born in September. I don't know the exact date; doesn't really matter. Of 1955, and he had two older brothers. So here's how I came to these records. I know people who had older brothers, older siblings, and they got into the music of their older siblings, and so. This guy was growing up when I was growing up, almost the same age, a year apart. So the music would have been around, especially in Chicago. You're in Chicago, South Side, I think, and he's a White Sox fan apparently, not a Cubs fan, according to his brother. So these are records that he might have had in his collection, and apparently he has 2,000 classical CDs.
Wow.
And about 20 records. So I'm not against CDs, but I don't know if they're all classical, but let's just pretend these are the 10 records in the Pope's collection. And I'm not going to put them in any order. This is the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. Chicago Blues. The Paul Butterfield Blues Band in 64, 65 was the thing in terms of a popularizing and bringing it to the psychedelic era and the kids era. Of course, Mike Bloomfield and Elvin Bishop and Paul Butterfield on harmonica. And the opening track on here is Born in Chicago. This guy was born in Chicago, so this is a great comp. This is a 70s comp. Paul Butterfield was the first electric group on Elektra.
Really?
Electric, yeah. They were more of a folk label at the time.
Right.
They were the first electric band to play the Newport Folk Festival. They played on stage before Dylan went electric that night. And Dylan had a couple members of Paul Butterfield on stage with him at that night.
I didn't see that in the movie. That wasn't in the. They didn't portray that.
It shows
correctly.
them. Yeah, it does. It
Paul
shows,
Butterfield?
Well, not Paul, but it shows Mike Bloomfield, who was in the Butterfield Blues Band.
Okay.
And he was on stage, and of course, they would record Highway 61
Right.
a few months later.
Right.
But there's no doubt in my mind that Pope Leo, Robert Francis Prevost, was listening to Chicago blues. If not him, his older brothers were playing some version
They
of
had
this.
that record. Let's just clear that up.
Not this comp, but they had the first record. We're just saying they did.
They have it.
Fact.
They did have it.
Fact.
They had it.
Fact. Okay.
100%.
Then I'm going with the Chicago's second album. Now, the first album is the better album. That's the perfect rock and roll, political, 1968. This is 1970, I believe. Is it 16 or 70? Anyway, another double album. They had to drop the Transit Authority because of the Chicago Transit Authority. And I would think that Robert Francis Prevost would be more into this. This is, even though it had hits, a little more mellow, a little more commercial. I think the first album is better, but I don't think he is on the cutting edge, this Pope, of music. He's into classical, a lot of Mozart apparently, a lot of Bach.
That record, I love that record. That's the one I heard more when I was younger.
25 or 64, Make Me Smile. It is a great, a lot of poetry shit. Morning in the Road, Poem of the People, In the Country, Wake Up Sunshine.
No other hits? Just those two hits?
Well, as far as I know, the only two hits, Color My World, that was a hit.
My
Yeah,
God.
that was the ballad, right?
Yeah,
That's the
no,
ballad.
that ruined every dance in the 70s.
So they got more schmaltzy, and the thing is, after this, you know what the problem with Chicago was? They totally destroyed Roman numerals. And since we're into Pope Leo the 14th in the Roman numeral, Chicago kind of goes along. But if not Robert, one of his older brothers was into Chicago because they were the band from Chicago. They became massive, huge. They have like 672. They have more albums out, I think, than there were popes. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's like Coca-Cola, isn't it?
But by any chance, do you think he had Chicago 14? Is that possible?
That's a good. Is there a Chicago
I don't
14?
know, but that would be wild.
Remember, Chicago got really middle of the road, and the irony is one of my favorite bands of horn bands that came out the same year as this first album was Sons of Champlin of San Francisco, Bill Champlin. That first album, Loosen Up Naturally, is great. And they were a little more jazzy. They had a vibraphone. But the irony is 10 years after this, maybe 15 years after this, Bill Champlin joined Chicago and becomes their singer.
Sick guitar player. Really good guitar player.
Bill Champlin's a keyboard player, okay.
No, who's the guitar? No, Terry.
Terry Kapp.
Terry.
And he's the one that kind of...
No. No.
Bill Champlin is keyboards.
Who's the guitar player?
This is Mazzy's channel.
Who was the guitar player in the Champlin Brothers?
Sons of Champlin.
Yeah, Sons of Champlin. Nobody was the guitar player.
We're drinking the blood of Christ.
Thank you. Anyways, that guy's good.
We're actually drinking an Italian wine.
That is true.
So
now
we'll do one more, then we'll take a little break and talk about Italy and the popes and the Vatican and everything. Now, 1971, am I right? 73, oh God, I got that wrong. Earth, Wind, and Fire, they're from Chicago. They're one of the biggest bands of the 1970s in terms of record sales. Mm-hmm. Soul band, funky, kind of jazzy. This is one of my favorite records. They had bigger hits after this. Of course, they have Keep Your Head to the Sky with that great a cappella thing at the end. But side two, with Zanzibar and Build Your Nest, whole jazzy, funky thing. This is a great record. And so I can't believe that the Pope Leo the 14th and his elder brothers weren't into this. Although a lot of guys who were into rock, really the rockers, kind of didn't really get into the soul right away. So you never know what they were about. What do you think?
I agree with what you're saying, but I'm just going to go out on a limb. He had this record.
Oh, he did.
100% he had this
You
record.
think the Pope and his two brothers, there's a picture of the three Pope brothers without their shirts?
I think they might have actually, because of this picture, taken a picture of themselves like that.
And this is kind of like, these are like almost depictions of Michelangelo's on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Come on.
You know? Did you know? Okay, let's take a little moment here. You were just in Italy,
Yes.
and tell me, did you go to the Vatican City?
I did.
Did you see a pope?
I saw no popes. It was a little rainy, but I saw no popes that day.
And did you tour? Have you ever been to the Sistine Chapel?
Oh, yes. Twice.
Wow.
Twice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you know I went only once in 1978, and I'm going to insert a picture here. I went on a Sunday in spring of 78. Pope Paul, is it called Mass? I guess that's Mass on Sunday morning, right? Whatever he does. He does
believe
his
so.
Domini Adabam
Yes.
Fidem Fedem. And there's a little, you can kind of see Pope Paul. And I was at Vatican Square there. I did tour
You've seen a pope.
I've seen a pope. And then he died at the fall or so of 78. Then we got Pope John Paul. There's John. And that John Paul died a month later. And then we had John Paul II. I don't know if you remember that. Okay.
But there's a whole Paul is dead connection here.
How come I know more about the popes and I'm the Jewish guy here than the Italian kid? Sistine Chapel. You know, what's great about it, you have the frescoes and in the back room, there's the, what's his name? Who did the back room paintings? I'll tell
Da Vinci?
you. No, not Da Vinci.
Stone his name.
Michelangelo did the ceiling.
Michelangelo.
Raphael's.
Raphael.
The back room is Raphael room, I guess. That's like the VIP room behind the rope. That's the champagne room in the Sistine Chapel. But what's amazing that I found only a number of years ago, or on the left and right walls, one side you have the story of Moses, all these different panels by a series of artists. Mm-hmm. On the right side, you have the story of Jesus. And so each pair, like the Moses and the Jesus, are one artist. And then the next two are one artist, and so on and so on.
That's very cool.
Except for the back wall, the front wall where you enter. That apparently had a redo because they got wiped out. Basically, kind of like the Universal fire where the tapes got erased. And they had a...
They keep finding things weren't messed up by that, though,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I think they just use that for a catch-all. Whenever there was a problem with something, it's like, oh, it was in the fire.
Okay, the next album that Pope Leo XIV, Robert Francis Prevost, had is this 1971 album by Graham Nash. Now, I would argue that the first album by all three members of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, you got Stephen Still's first album with Love the One You're With. You have David Crosby's, If I Can Remember Our Name. Right. And this, Songs for Beginners, are perfect records. Now, this I bring up for a number of reasons. I'm sure he had this because I don't think he was really a big rocker. I think Robert Francis Prevost kind of had a soft side to him. I almost pulled an America record, Horse of No Name. I bet you had James Taylor records too, but I didn't pull those this time. There's a song on here, a political song called In Chicago. You also have on here a song called We Can Change the World. Now, in Military Madness, he's all in for peace and love. On his second album, which I did not pull, he has a song called Immigration Man. And of course, we know that how the Pope feels about, he goes by the words and the teachings of Jesus, not all this political stuff that's going on. What do you think of that?
You know what I think of it.
Okay. But this is a beautiful record. You got, everyone's on this record, all the other members. Sleep Song, Simple Man. Simple Man is a gorgeous ballad, and it really kind of could be about Robert Francis Prevost.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it is about him.
Yeah, you probably wrote it about it.
It is about
because, okay, when this album came out, the Pope would have been like 16. So he probably listened to this record. Either that or his brother had. You know, again, the older brothers, the older siblings always have the record.
Helps out.
That you listen to.
Yep.
Okay.
But before we move on,
Yes.
Since we're talking about popes and all this kind of stuff, can I make a confession?
Well, yes, my son.
In regards to Graham Nash, I stole something that Graham Nash wrote his autograph on. You know what it is?
I have no
It's
idea.
the extra copy that they used to have underneath the Visa card thing. You know, you used to.
Oh,
And there'd be like 8 copies. You'd sign and you'd do the thing, and you're supposed to throw away those 5. But it's like, it's Graham Nash. I'm not throwing that away. I have 3 autographs from that, and his is one.
of course you would.
From the
So
record
he came
store.
in the store.
A record
Now I have a companion confession. Well, it was with my friend Jashit Brooks. We worked at a different record store in San Francisco, the Record Factory, and the photographer and guitar fixer or tech and archivist for Crosby, Stills Nash, Joel Bernstein, came in, and he brings in Joni Mitchell, and Joni Mitchell bought a bunch of cassettes, and of course I gave her a discount. Why do we give like famous people discounts that don't need it? She bought about
Keep doing that.
10 cassettes, and Brooks kept the Visa thing, so I have a copy of Joni Mitchell's Visa.
Yeah, exactly.
You do that.
You don't take the original because you got to turn that in. It's the,
Yeah. And I don't think I called to get an approval. You're supposed to approve it after, what, over $100
don't
or
call
$50?
in
Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell?
Yeah. Okay.
For God's sake.
All right.
You did the right thing.
Now, this is one I'm sure he had. Now, this goes back to the 1960s, okay? I am absolutely sure that Robert Francis Prevost, Pope Leo XIV, if not this specific album, I think he's into CDs, so he probably has, there's a great CD comp that I have too of Elvis Presley's holy songs, his gospel songs. He did a series, and this is How Great Thou Art, as sung by Elvis. It's a really kind of not a great cover. Look at that, but it
looks AI.
In the garden, I'm sure the Garden of Gethsemane, somebody bigger than you and I.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of that, what's that song? Some girls are bigger than others, some girls are bigger than others' mothers. The Smiths.
That's the Smiths. I was going to say, what era though was the person bigger than him? Because there was an era where he was.
Where he was big. No one's bigger than me in the 1960s. Stand by Me, Further Along. Is that the country song? Further Along. I love that song. That's the one. Where No One Stands Alone, Crying in the Chapel. If the Lord Wasn't Walking by My Side. This is not me mocking this. I seriously, absolutely love Elvis Presley's gospel. And I'm sure the Pope has some gospel Elvis in his collection.
I'm going to go out on a limb. He does have that, and he did have
Yeah,
that.
but
100%.
there is a series of these religious records that Elvis made. So this is the only one I have. But I have the full gospel CD comp. It's 2 or 3 CDs.
You like gospel music.
I love gospel.
know you do.
I love it. Yeah. So I'm not mocking this at all. I love this. I have a spiritual side to me. I am agnostic. I used to be somewhat of a believer when I taught Sunday school, and I really did, on the Jewish side of things. And then I became sort of atheist. Now I'm agnostic. I don't want to. I'm hedging my bets basically, just in case. But I'm sure Pope Leo XIV has some gospel Elvis in his collection.
100%. You know, I have a cross tattoo. You know that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cross tattoo. It's right here. But it says the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. It's a cross. It's right there. Look at that. See that? That was my first tattoo.
Wow.
See? That's my religion.
I have like a copyright. That's my tattoo. That's it. Now
From the White Album? What is that?
this is here.
You don't have to tell me.
No, this is the year that the Stratocaster was invented.
Yes.
Also the year I was born, so that's why
Okay.
I copyrighted myself.
Got it.
Okay. So this is one, no doubt, the whole family has. They probably had multiple copies. And I bought this because it was a box. And I'll tell a story. But Robert Francis Prevost, before he was the Pope, him and his older brothers had the original Jesus Christ Superstar. Andrew Lloyd Webber,
Good record.
Andrew Rice, Tim Rice, the one in the box with the only Jesus, aside from the real Jesus, is Ian Gillan, the lead singer at the time of Deep Purple. I don't like the guy that did the movie as much. I forgot his name. But this is the one. You got Yvonne Elliman, who's in both. She's great as Mary Magdalene. She was in the movie. She toured with Eric Clapton on 461 and great singer in her own right. But this is a great rock and roll album. It's great. I bought this because of the cover. I didn't know what it was, and I just bought it in 1970. And then it really hit about 7 or 8 months. The next Christmas, I think, is when it really clicked in. And this taught me the story of Jesus. As a Jewish kid, I didn't know this story. And I pull this record out every Christmas, and all my my Christian friends and Catholic friends tell me, Maslov, you're supposed to pull it out at Easter, not Christmas. It's a different story. But I love this. Like, look at these. Murray Head is Judas. Victor Brox.
There's some killer rock and roll on that record. It really is.
When you listen to the band, the electric guitar, the rhythm section of this, the essence of this is a band. It's not one of these floral big orchestra. There is orchestration, especially when you get into Superstar. This is a fantastic record. I love this record. I'm absolutely in love with this record. And I know the Pope has this. He probably has a CD, which is fine. But Pope Leo the 14th has this record.
He has it now. Seven Horse used to walk out to that music, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Just read Superstar?
That part, we kind of combined it together. But the rockin' part.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, you know that one of the older brothers got this. And of course, Stairway to Heaven. I mean, that's an obvious choice. That generation, when this came out, what is this, 72, 3, 1?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's one.
So he's 16 years old. Of course, he's going to have a Led Zeppelin record. If not, one of his older brothers had it. I guarantee it.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Not just Stairway to Heaven. That's the obvious one. I almost put House of the Holy, but I thought maybe with the nudity of the kids is not a good thing. Yet, look at all those cherubs up in the Sistine Chapel.
They're all nude.
They're all naked. There's like everything's hanging out.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't give it. Come
It's
on.
funny how some Puritans get so up in crazy about nudity and art when all over Rome is.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Come on, it's beautiful.
It's the naked body.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had to have that one.
Now,
By the way, it was an RL.
oh,
It had to have been
that's not an RL
RL.
because this isn't an RL. This is not the RL because it wouldn't have had the stickers, the hype stickers. I kind of keeping those on. I probably shouldn't. This isn't even a great copy. I just kept it because of.
But his had to have been an RL.
Oh, his
That's
brother.
what I'm saying.
I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
Well, his is probably more than an RL. It's probably
Can you imagine right now on Discogs, if it comes up, Leo 14's RL Zeppelin 4? I'd buy it.
What if his copy has JC in the dead wax?
JC, I'm coming back. I'll be back.
Exactly. Okay. I was trying to figure this out and plan this out because it wasn't until around 1981 or 80, I think 82 or 83, where he left Chicago and he goes and he leaves his area and becomes what do they call it? A Monsignor, a priest, a bishop. But what are they called? You would tell me.
You keep looking at me like I know what the hell.
Well, you're the Italian. You're the non-Jewish
I gotta
guy.
make a phone call if you want.
But
to know
before that, I think one of his last hurrahs in 1979, he went back. He probably wasn't a big Dylan fan. Those kids weren't into Dylan. But when Dylan did Slow Train Coming, I mean, Dylan had 3 years of Jesus, okay? 4 years of Jesus, and he toured Jesus. And this is the best of the three. This is one of Dylan's greatest albums. I love this record. Barry Beckett and Jerry Wexler produced it. Mark Knopfler's on. It's a great sounding record and good songs. Yes, it's his conversion to Christianity, to a Jesus worshiper or follower. What do you call him?
One or the other, yes.
Okay. But this is a great, great record. I saw him when this tour opened, and people walked out and booed because the first 5 shows at the Warfield in San Francisco, he didn't play one secular song, not one hit, and all he played was stuff from this and what would be the next album. But I bet you Robert Francis Prevost or his brothers bought this record and fell in love with it.
100%.
And of course, just because the next few years they probably bought this and this. Now this is one I didn't like for a long time, but now I've kind of warmed up to it. Shot of Love. Almost looks like that, like Lichtenstein, the artist.
Well,
right?
it does.
Right? But you got Ringo Starr on here. You got Danny Kortchmar. You have Clyde King. Didn't Danny Kortchmar produce one of your records?
He did.
Which one?
Cooch.
A Dada record?
Dada 4.
And Cooch played with James Taylor.
Yep.
And what a small world, right?
Yep.
You got Tim Drummond on here, Bob Dylan, Jim Kellner. Okay, but Clyde King, what a great soulful soul artist, gospel-y soul. But this, I kind of warmed up to this. This is 1981, so this would have been one of the last records. Now, I don't think he packed his records up when he moved to Peru, but we'll see. So,
do you think he put them in sleeves?
yeah, I don't think he put them in sleeves. I don't know.
He might have.
Okay.
He might have.
Now this is a long shot that he had this record. If I got into punk and new wave or rock and roll that had seeds of punk, this is not really a punk record, but it's that, New York writer, poet, cool guy, gets a rock band, gets a great producer and an engineer, and gets Earl McGrath, but also co-production engineering by Bob Clearmountain, okay? Did he work with you too?
Yes,
See?
he did.
All right, this guy knows everyone. Jim Carroll. He probably bought this, he saw this on the shelf. He went to Tower Records in Chicago, right? And it said, Catholic Boy. I'm a Catholic boy. I think I'll like that record. Of course, when he started reading about Wicked Gravity and Three Sisters and people who died, like a laundry list of all his friends in New York City and New York that died. I love this cover. This is a photograph by Annie Leibovitz. That's Jim Carroll and his parents. I saw him when he toured this at the Savoy Tivoli in North Beach in San Francisco. But this is a really good record. I played it again today, and it's less punk than I remember. It's kind of that period of like, if Bruce Springsteen did a punk record, it's like that. Production is a little strings on one or two tracks, but the song Catholic Boy, it's got great hooks. Unlike a lot of the punk bands a few years earlier, it's really great musicians, great guitar, great drums, a little slick, but not overly slick, no synthesizers yet.
I never thought of that record as a punk record. But
no, but it's in that, it comes from, he wrote Basketball Diaries and
right.
What's the other book he wrote? He wrote another book, Living at the Movies. I have two of his records. He died too young too.
Yeah.
That
Died song was big when I moved to LA when I was a kid. Yeah.
But do you think he had this record?
He definitely 100% had that record.
He heard it. He heard Catholic Boys.
He owned it.
You think? We don't know. Do you think he'll ever tell us? No.
We should ask him.
Okay.
I bet if we asked him, he would tell.
Now, lastly, I'm going another out-of-the-box choice. Okay, I don't know if you know the story of Robert Francis Prevost, Pope Leo XIV. He gets assigned or moves to Peru, and he becomes a Peruvian. He's dual citizenship.
Yes.
So he's American and Peruvian, right? So this would have gone back to the mid-'60s, but Los Psychos was a mid-'60s proto-punk garage band from Lima, Peru. Great shit. So at some point, all those years, was either a couple decades, he spoke Spanish down there, obviously. He became, the people of one of the, what do they call the local pope? It's not a pope, what is it? I thought I had an expert with me for color commentary.
I don't know. A bishop, archbishop.
Los Psychos, and that's how you pronounce it apparently. Los Psychos Demolición, the complete recordings. This is a reissue from a few years ago. This is one record with a lovely booklet. Even if he didn't own this record, and he probably didn't own the record because there were probably a lot of singles and it was rare during that time. There wasn't reissues in the same way. Maybe he has a CD comp of it. But he heard of Los Psychos.
Is that RFP right there? That was his record.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Let's see. Is there JC in the Dead Wax?
I think I need this record. I don't know about this record.
This is a good. The guy.
This looks like it's right up my alley.
Think of Question Mark and the Mysterians and Psychotic Reaction, but he's got this kind of gnarly, punky voice.
I love it.
It's totally garagey.
I love that.
Little surf shit.
It's getting better.
Yeah,
I need that record.
It's great. You know, this is a 2010. No, but I think this one came out like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Again, and so you know that he was, even if he, I bet you someone came in the confessional and said, "Oh, Made Pade, Mr. Francis Prevost." What do you say? You don't say Mr.
I've never been in the room.
This guy is no good to me today. I wanted an expert that would know when you go in. I have been in at masses. I've been to
masses, but I've never been in the box.
You never confessed?
No. Okay. Not to any professional person.
But this is the complete recordings. Okay, 1965. This is in 1966. All these things.
That is cool.
Yeah,
I
it is cool.
need that.
We'll play it after this. But anyway, that's the Pope's record collection. 10 records that Pope Leo XIV has in his collection. Robert Francis Prevost. We wish him the best. I'm not a religious guy, but you know, you need a good soul for checks and balances, and I think this could be the guy.
He seems like a good person.
Yeah, as woke as he may be woke. What a fuckheads. Anyway, thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Mazzy loves you. Not you, but
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Take care.